The UFC has officially announced the first Paramount cards, UFC 324 on the screen, Gaethje versus Pimblett for an interim title, and UFC 325, which we'll get to in a second. But boys, we are not off to a great start. We're actually off to a terrible start because the UFC dropped the ball repeatedly in 2025, and now here in 2026, we're starting off the year with Paramount with terrible matchmaking. This is some of the worst matchmaking I've ever seen. And it's not necessarily bad that we're getting Gaethje Pimblett. I mean, it is bad that we're getting Gaethje Pimblett. It's not bad that it's an interim title fight, because let me explain why there's an interim title fight in the first place, and then we'll come back and roast the matchup that is Gaethje Pimblett. That's an absolute embarrassment. But Ilia Topuria confirms that he will not be fighting in the first quarter of 2026. Basically, Ilia Topuria said, look, guys, I won't be fighting in the first quarter of next year. I'm going through a difficult moment in my personal life. I want to focus on my children and resolve this situation as soon as possible. I don't want to hold up the division. The UFC will make the matchups needed, and as soon as the matters are resolved, I'll let the UFC know I'm ready to begin my return. Fair enough. Ilia is dealing with family matters. He doesn't want to hold up the division. He probably gave the UFC the green light, even though they don't need it, to make an interim title or strip him or whatever. So what did the UFC do? Despite Arman Tsarukyan just destroying Dan Hooker and making it look easy, proving he can make the weight, did they book him, despite him saying he's ready to fight in January, did they book him versus Pimblett, which should have been the matchup if Ilia's out? No. They show that if you whine like an absolute crybaby like Justin Gaethje and threaten to retire if you don't get a title shot, well, guess what? They reward that behavior, because now Justin Gaethje's fighting for his second interim title fight against Paddy Pimblett. And let me just say, Paddy Pimblett's going to steamroll Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje has little to no grappling. He got taken down and out-grappled by Rafael Fiziev. Not a good look. On short notice, by the way. Gaethje's also 37 years old. He's taken a ton of damage. Paddy Pimblett is fresh. He doesn't get knocked out. He's a scouser, of course. He's undefeated in the UFC, and this is just going to be another tailor-made fight for Paddy Pimblett to beat up on a 37-year-old who's just out of his prime once again, man. When are we going to see Paddy versus somebody who's not a grandpa? Paddy Pimblett needs to fight Arman Tsarukyan for the title. Why is this the matchup? We know Paddy's going to steamroll Gaethje. Of course, there's going to be 2% of fans in the comments saying, oh, dude, no, you're underrating Justin Gaethje, dude. Justin Gaethje can sleep Paddy. No, he can't. Why? Because Paddy's going to get a takedown on Justin Gaethje, who swings like a wild man and doesn't really have any technical striking. And the second Paddy gets a takedown, he's going to either get a TKO on the ground or he's going to submit Gaethje, because Gaethje's a white belt on the mat, despite being a professional in MMA for the last, 13, 14 years. He's a white belt. He's never progressed in his jiu-jitsu, ever. And he hasn't cared to. And he openly admits that he doesn't go to his wrestling because it drains his gas tank. This is embarrassing matchmaking, and if this is what 2026 is gonna be, I'm not looking forward to it, man. Listen, at the end of the day, the division's moving forward, great, but where's Arman Tsarukyan? He just got done saying he would fight Ilia in January. Why is it not Arman versus Paddy? Oh, I know why, because Dana White and the UFC love their little golden goose, Paddy Pimblett. And time again, they give him favorable matchups versus guys who are past their prime. At 37 years old, Justin Gaethje, who's taken a crazy amount of damage in his career. Paddy Pimblett is going to easily beat Justin Gaethje. I don't want to hear the comments of saying, dude, it's been the time of the underdogs, man. Justin Gaethje's going to have a chance. No. Paddy Pimblett is going to destroy Justin Gaethje. This is another easy matchup for Paddy Pimblett. It should be Arman Tsarukyan versus Paddy Pimblett. This is a disgrace. It's embarrassing. Why is Justin Gaethje in an interim title fight? He doesn't deserve it. He's 3-1 in his last 4. He's had one fight over the last, 2 years? And it was against short notice Rafael Fiziev, right? A decent win, but you already had a win over him. Justin Gaethje does not deserve a title shot, and once again, we're rewarding guys sitting out and crying about title shots or they're going to retire. And what do? We give them the title shot. Either way, it is what it is. This is the fight that's happening. Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje for an interim title fight for the very first Paramount card. I am disappointed. I was hoping we'd be able to see Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane rematch for 324, but in typical UFC fashion, they can't matchmake for shit, and they put the wrong fights together time and time again. Let's have a look, actually, at the full card, or the full main card. Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett in the main event. Co-main event, Kayla Harrison versus Nunes. We knew that fight was coming. O'Malley makes his return versus Song Yadong. I do favor O'Malley in that matchup. Cortez Acosta continues being extremely active, which I do respect, versus Derek Lewis. I do think Cortez Acosta is going to school Derek Lewis, who's going to be 41 years old, by the way. and Arnold Allen versus John Silva. Can John Silva bounce back after getting all of his aura stolen by Diego Lopes? We're going to have to see. But this is the card. Listen, for a Paramount membership, I guess this isn't the worst, but the UFC's got to do better with the matchmaking, bro. This company just paid you $1.1 billion per year for 7 years. And a Justin Gaethje title shot in the Big 26 is what we're getting. I don't like it, man. And it's like, dude, where's Arman Tsarukyan? Listen, I know he pulled out of his title fight on a day's notice, but he's made up for it since then, right? He's weighed up as a backup for Ilya versus Charles. He's now defeated Dan Hooker and proved he can make the weight and didn't pull out. It's not a good look, man. Paddy is 100% ducking Arman. Paddy doesn't want to fight Arman. He jokes around, calls him posh boy, calls him rich spoiled. Bro, say what you want, Paddy, but you don't fight anybody in their prime. Who has Paddy Pimblett fought in their prime? Think about it. His last 3 wins. Michael Chandler, 38, nearly 39 years old, on a 2-fight losing streak. Bobby Green, who was like 1-4 in his last 5, 38 years old, now is one of the worst fighters in the UFC. Tony Ferguson, who was on a 7-fight losing streak, 39 or 40 years old. Paddy took him to decision, by the way, who arguably lost to Jared Gordon. When is Paddy Pimblett going to fight somebody in their prime? Someone tell me, man. I'm so tired of it, dude. We know he can beat up on old strikers. We know that. He's already done that against Ferguson. He's already done that against Bobby Green. He's done that against Michael Chandler. Now he's going to do it again against Gaethje. We know he can beat 37-year-olds. We get it. Why isn't he fighting Arman? Just explain that to me. The UFC they need to fire all their matchmakers because they suck. The only excuse for this would be if Arman said, I'm not fighting in January, even though he said he would. Maybe he had an injury. I don't know. Also, side note, just so you guys know, it was leaked a couple weeks ago that Paramount, which I predicted, is going to raise the price of their subscription in January. Go figure, the second they start offering the UFC their little golden perfect price for all fans that made us all excited. They're like, well, we're probably going to triple that price. So if you're getting Paramount Plus, which I'm sure a lot of us are, prepare for the price to be jacked up probably more than double, because you know these streaming services are ruthless. Although it won't be as bad as pay-per-view, I can admit that. It is annoying how they kind of like tricked us into like, yeah, you guys are going to get all these UFC events for a low price. And then the second it releases, like, well, actually it's going to be $30 a month. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. As fans, we're going to get the fights. We're going to find a way to watch them one way or another. And I guess I'm excited for this card, even though despite its horrible matchmaking, well, to be honest, just the main event's horrible matchmaking. Harrison Nunes, fair enough. O'Malley Song Yadong makes sense. Cortez Acosta versus Lewis doesn't really make sense, but that's probably the only fight he can get because he's being so active. Arnold Allen versus John Silva kind of makes sense because Allen's been inactive, but this is the 324 card. What do you guys think? I think it's atrocious to have Gaethje Pimblett as a main event, but it is what it is, I guess, man. And I can't wait to see Pimblett fight Ilya or Tsarukyan because both of them are going to beat him. The UFC has been protecting Paddy Pimblett for so long. They continue to do so. And yeah, another easy win for Pimblett. But let's get on to something even more atrocious. This is even worse. You guys thought 324 headliner was bad. Wait till you find out that Volkanovski is defending his title versus Diego Lopes 2 times in a row, or 2 title fights against Diego Lopes in a row for Volkanovski. This is horrible, horrible matchmaking. I'm sorry, dude. Why isn't it Mavzar? Why isn't it Lerone Murphy? 2 guys who were 9-0 in the UFC, and Lerone Murphy's coming off a spectacular knockout over Aaron Pico. Let me tell you why this fight is so garbage. It's not nothing against Diego Lopes. You guys know he's one of my favorite fighters. The reason this fight is so garbage and so stupid is because it does nothing for Volkanovski's legacy. How many times have we seen it? Volkanovski just beat Diego Lopes. I know it's been, nearly 9 months now, but he has a win over him. So what are we going to do? We're going to book him against the same guy for his retirement fight so he can get another win over him or potentially get knocked out and make his legacy worse. What does rematching a guy you just won a title against back-to-back going to do for your career, Volkanovski? It does nothing for his legacy. Volkanovski said he fights for legacy. If he fights for legacy, he would have called for Lerone Murphy. He would have called for Mavzar. Way, 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 way better for his legacy than beating the same guy 2 times in a row. I hate this. Diego Lopes is one of my favorite fighters. He just fought for a title. He's on a 1-fight win streak. No shot. He deserves a title shot again. And let me explain to you guys what I think this is. I think the UFC is desperate for a Mexican champion. They've been trying so hard to force one down our throat for so long. They got Alexa Grasso. They got Brandon Moreno. But You know, those WMMA and flyweight, it's not really grabbing the attention of the fans. Diego Lopes would be able to break into that market even more. So I think they're trying to force a Mexican champion. They're trying their hardest to get a Spanish-speaking guy. Although he's Brazilian, he does reside in Mexico and he does speak Spanish. Diego Lopes. And the UFC for a long time, they tried so hard to push Yair as a champion, it didn't work. Now they're trying so hard to push Diego Lopes as a champion. Maybe he beats Volk because Volk's been out for a long time. He's older, you know. Maybe Volk's even slower than their first fight. I don't know. I'm honestly, I'm thinking about picking Diego Lopes, but I hate this matchmaking, dude. Where's the meritocracy, right? Diego Lopes just had a title shot. Why is he getting a second one? What are we doing? What is the sport coming to in terms of matchmaking? Fire Sean Shelby. Fire whoever else, Hunter Campbell. Fire all these freaking dorks, man. They can't matchmake for shit. Helen Keller could do better matchmaking than this. I don't understand what's going on with the UFC matchmaking. What are they talking about at the desk? And maybe it's a case again of, once again, that maybe Movsar couldn't fight, maybe Lerone Murphy couldn't fight, and all they had was Diego Lopes to step up. I highly doubt it. Don't get me wrong. I prefer Diego Lopes over Yair Rodriguez. I can't stand Yair Rodriguez. But to me, the correct thing to do was to do headline maybe a fight night in Mexico, Diego Lopes versus Yair. They're both Spanish speaking in the Mexican culture. It would make sense. They have beef, and winner of that can maybe get a title shot. And in the meantime, Movsar or Lerone Murphy, two guys that are 9-0 in the UFC, can get their title shot. But no, what is the UFC? They're like, nah, we don't like either of those ideas. Here's Volk versus Lopes too, you know, because this fight does such leaps and bounds for Volk's legacy. He's going to be the GOAT after this fight. He beating the guy he just beat. I don't know, man. I just think this is dumb. This is not what I would have done, but clearly the UFC have idiots as their matchmakers, so I guess we should just expect letdowns the entire year. I mean, the last 2 to 3 years in the UFC have just been undeserved title shot after undeserved title shot after undeserved title shot. So I guess it's not surprising anymore to see guys on a 1-fight win streak on title shots. I mean, we just got him back-to-back. Justin Gaethje, 1-fight win streak, interim title shot. Diego Lopes, 1-fight win streak, just fought Volkanovski. Title shot. It's like, I don't know. Maybe I'm being dramatic, guys, but I'm gonna be honest. These are the first 2 events. I'm kind of disappointed in Paramount's start with the UFC. I was hoping to get Tom Aspinall Cyril Gane rematch. I was hoping to get maybe Arman Tsarukyan versus Ilya Taporia, or even Arman versus Paddy if Ilya was going to be out like he is. I was hoping to get Volkanovski versus Lerone Murphy or Movsar, but we didn't get any of that. Instead, we got 1-fight win streak slop. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you guys think I'm being over dramatic? Am I just another ungrateful YouTuber that complains about everything? Or do I have a good argument on why these fights are terrible matchmaking and they shouldn't have been made in the first place? Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. I appreciate you guys. I'm out. Peace.